Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the channel. I'm Charlemagne, and today I wanted to share a little bit about my Fafnir run that scored over 8 billion damage on the leaderboards. As you can see here on hellhades.com, that I currently hold the third ranking in terms of damage when it comes to the Fafnir 151 boss. And it's funny because Zavarok and I were actually doing our runs at about the same time. We were chatting a little bit about that inside of the alpha chat on Discord. And it turns out that neither of us were really using barrier at all. Now, Zavarok, if you see this, I'm curious about your run because you were using Heimdall, and I wasn't able to get Heimdall working without him just breaking the game. So it'd be interesting to see how you were able to manage that. But how exactly was this team designed so that they were able to fight Fafnir? Well, the obvious thing that led to my success here is something that will be changing for potentially wave 2, but probably wave 3 for sure, and that is the weapon that steals divinity. Because without that weapon, he would have continually scaled his divinity, used his ultimate, and then scaled his damage, causing my run to end a lot shorter. And so having that weapon, doing it that way, we know, and Fateless has even come out and said that that weapon is going to be changing, but I want to at least just share this little nugget and just kind of the fun things that we were able to do on Alpha Wave 1, just as a memory, so we can say remember when, right? Remember when Zeus did so much damage and couldn't be killed by Fafnir. And so I have a relatively short clip here compared to the whole run. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but I do have a screenshot at the end of the final damage, and I can show off the builds just so you kind of understand what's going on here. So seeing how I was maximizing Zeus. But really what's happening is that I feel as though the buffs being cast by these heroes are stacking and stacking in a way that isn't intended. Now, I would love to know if that's incorrect. If initiative, so Aphrodite right here, she increases, speed up and does initiative up as well. And you can see later on, and I'll share a screenshot right here in the video, that at the end of this run, Dracula had over 500 stacks of that buff on him. And so there's even a point and probably about 2 hours in, where I was using ability after ability after ability, and I think potentially speed had been stacked so much that Fafnir's turn meter wasn't even moving. But how did I get there? Well, you can see at this point that every time he uses his ability, it takes out a lot of damage from my heroes. You can see here, Quetzalcoatl, Aphrodite, and Zeus all really take a lot of hits. But because Aphrodite is actually first and primarily boosting Quetzalcoatl with her attack, he is getting more attacks in, he's getting those heals in more frequently. And I also have Pengu on my team that applies a Drain 2 on Fafnir. And so the idea here and why I built this team was that, if I can take a hit, if I can take the hit that doesn't and won't scale, if I can heal up between every single turn of Fafnir's, slowing him down, increasing the speed of my heroes and everything like that, then I should potentially be able to outlast his attacks and continue to do more and more damage. And that's exactly what happened. I was able to withstand his attack, his primary attack and his core attack, and just continually just lump on the damage. And I was chatting with the guys in Discord about this as this was occurring, and Zeus is continually growing in his damage. And I think a lot of other people do as well. And I think their damage is probably being increased primarily due to the stacking of buffs, whereas Zeus is also stacking, I think, his passive potentially, that is basically making him, not cap on damage. By the end of this entire run, Zeus is doing 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 million on his ultimate attack when he goes in and strikes with his ally attack on Fafnir. It really, really is pretty impressive to see, and I really enjoyed this run. And again, guys, this is not to really say this is how you play Fafnir or anything like this. This is truly I hope to publish this video the last day of Wave 1. And so really just a fun tribute to the fun we had in Alpha. And just seeing where Fateless has started and where they're going to go is just going to be awesome to be able to experience. I think when it comes though to builds, I have not really been able to spend a whole lot of time on Dracula's build and really maximizing his damage. So he was here kind of as a placeholder and could be replaced with any other damage dealer, your strongest damage dealer. And in fact, Zavarok, who's in second place currently at time of recording, he relied on Pengu for all of his damage. And when he shared his build, or at least shared his team inside of Discord as well, it was clear that there wasn't any barrier going on or anything like that. So it wasn't this infinite barrier style. It just shows that at the end of the day, assuming we can mitigate enough damage to outlast an attack, we can heal back up. And so it's interesting to me that, probably like level 120 in the caverns and on was pretty challenging. And I would say, especially for like current builds, it was challenging a little bit more because of the bugs that we were experiencing. Like every time we fought Isis, that was a huge issue because she'd continue to heal and we'd have to get out as much damage as we could in order to finish her. But then when it came to Fafnir and defeating him, that became a whole lot easier. So the reality that I can, have these champions, and Quetzalcoatl is not a tank in any sense. He is just fast, and so is Aphrodite, and that they are able to, take the damage of Fafnir without any like increased defense or shield or anything like that. It definitely informs me, at least in my mind, that he needs to be tuned up a little bit, I think, at least for the final boss. Now, he does hit harder than 150, but even still, it seems pretty simple. But all in all, guys, this is the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll share a couple more minutes of it, and then I'll share the builds at the end. Well, and actually, guys, I'm going to go ahead and change it up because ever since recording this, I've now run a 30 billion damage run. And so what you're going to be seeing here now is going to be from that run. Hope you enjoy. And here we go, guys. Here's that final damage. Zeus coming in with a whopping 6.15 billion damage. I did not think to record the very final end, but man, talk about just putting out damage. He was putting millions of damage on per hit. And so it's been a lot of fun being able to participate in this alpha. Check out these builds on the heroes next. All right, guys, and here are the hero builds. Quetzalcoatl coming in with 187 speed, 94 initiative. I mean, guys, these aren't crazy builds. I don't think there are very many crazy builds when it comes to this alpha, but it was really fun to be able to just work the gear and whatnot. So, stats before sets every single time, basically. I did use Shamshir on Quetzalcoatl, just gaining 18% turn meter after using ultimate ability. I was trying everything I could to make sure that he would get out as many attacks as he possibly could to maximize the health of the heroes and the healing of the heroes. Seemed to work, apparently. Aphrodite was in second slot, boosting Quetzalcoatl. You can see she is my fastest champion in the game right now, 205 speed, which... When you think about speeds in raid, it's just so funny to see what we're doing in alpha, but it's to be expected, right? Alpha versus 5-year-old game. But here it was all about boosting speed. That's all I wanted from her, and you can see that in the stats. It's just speed. Now for my damage, this is probably my proudest build when it comes to alpha. This is my Zeus, 156 speed, terrible initiative at 95, but well over crit capped and rocking a 235.5% crit damage. A lot of that is obviously coming from his weapon, getting 70% additional crit damage, but then you have it maximized in other stats places as well. Dracula is pretty mid build. I have just kind of thrown gear on him, making sure he has some kind of accuracy so that he can land bleeds. And then Pengu was a good build, needing to ensure that he got some good damage out, but also was able to get that Drain 2 out, which I think relied heavily on Quetzalcoatl's increased accuracy. So those are the builds, and that is the heroes. This was my Fafnir run, and guys, it was a blast. Let me know, were you able to build a team that was able to take on the final boss? Or did you even get to stage 151? How far did you make it in Alpha Wave 1? And what are you looking forward to most in Wave 2? Guys, I'm looking forward to the future and everything we get to do together in Wave 2. So let's get ready, and I'll see you in the next one.